Welcome YouTube. My name is Sam. Welcome to our second recording. Our first recording was on Thursday when we did a review of Game Week 5. We welcome you. We want to hear from you. We want to enjoy with you. We want to walk with you in this journey. So join us. Before I start, I want to ask you to hit on the subscribe button. You can see I think we have 101 subscribers so far. We want to grow from there. We want to grow together. So again, if you have a question, if you have a comment, leave it down there. Then I'm going to respond to it. If it's a question, I can answer it in our next recording, or even respond on the comment section. So today we are doing a review of Game Week 6, and I do believe I had already explained why I have 3 Man City players in my midfield, so please don't crucify me on the same today. And the reason was I had Martial, and I thought that his injury was short term. When I realized that at the start of Game Week 5 he was still not there, I felt it was not wise for me to keep all that cash on the bench. So I decided to take in somebody who can stand there for some while and then give me some points. So that's why I went for David Silva. He did give me the points that I wanted. So to me, I think that was a wasted transfer. But then he's there now. I want to hold on to him or to the transfer for this week, so that next week I'll be having 2, whereby I can now reinvest that on my team going forward. So the team to me looks okay. It only has 4 people that I think should not be there, who I think I can move out within the next 3 or 4 game weeks, and that is Ryan, Dean, Silva, and Lanzini. Lanzini because West Ham have been having an indifferent season, and I'm not sure whether I can keep up with the stress of waiting for him to score something. Dean has blanked for the last 2 game weeks, and for a 6.1 defender, you'd expect him to be doing very well, but Everton as a whole, I think, is what is bringing him down. They have considered, I think, more than 2 goals in the last 3 game weeks. But again, I want also to mention that if you feel like your team is struggling, don't think you're alone. In fact, I think if you look at the statistics, the people you expect to be performing very well in this community, the likes of Sam, the likes of FPL General, they are also suffering too. In fact, I was watching the FPL show on the telly, and I think one of the hosts, not the lady, although you'd be okay with his score, but he had, I think, less than 40 points. Lee of FPL family had 38, if I'm not wrong. Sam, of all the other people of the spouse to Lee, had, I think, 37 before the games on Monday. And these are examples to show you that this season it's quite tricky, and many people are not doing so well as they would have hoped for. In fact, the way people started this season, they thought it was a continuation of the last. That's why everyone had gone for the premium defenders and the premium mid, and then leaving out, of course, now the strikers to sort themselves out. But now it's turning out that for once, I think this is the first time in 3 seasons where you're finding that the strikers are the main points bearers. Pukki, you can see Pukki, Aguero, even Sterling is struggling. Even Salah himself is struggling. So due to these changes, you expect that the scores are not going to be very consistent. In fact, you can find yourself at, I think, after game week 1, when I had around 90 points, I was in the top 100, and then from game week 2 the drop came, and from then it's up and down every game week. So I would ask you to stick with your strategy, to stick with your philosophy, to stick with your plan. Then by the time we reach game week 10, where things will stabilize, then you can take stock and see whether really what you're doing is bearing fruits or not. But for now, it's early days. Don't let the red arrows scare you. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I do believe that the points will start stabilizing at one point or the other. So I'm sticking with Tallinn as my captain. This is what I've been doing for the last 3 game weeks. Like I saw in a study, and I think some of you came through it. If you have stuck with the same person as a captain for the last 5 game weeks, let's say you have stuck with Stalin, or you have stuck with Salah, or you have stuck with Aguero, you would be having more points from the captain than you have at the moment. So moving the captaincy around, I know that's what we think because it's dependent on the game week. But who would have thought that Pukki would have scored that well against Man City? Who would have thought that Sterling would have blanked for 2 consecutive weeks? So again, it's allowed for you to move around, but don't take too much of a risk by going for differentials as your captain, because it might really waste you, or it might even leave you further behind, and some of these points dropped this early will come to cost you in your mini leagues. I think I'm in a league where we are having even some cash put into it for the overall winner, or even the monthly winners. So if you try to be too inventive, if you try to be so different, then you'll be left behind by your competitors. So I'm going with a 3-4-3 formation. And that's because after what Pukki did last week, I cannot give in to the temptation of benching Abraham just because he's playing Liverpool. So I'm going with all my attackers. I'll be benching Lanzini even if they are playing Manchester United, and we know how that game can go. But I'm benching him because there's nobody else I would rather bench in that team. And I think that is a true testament that I have a good team. It's only that now the points have not yet started coming. So that is my team. I will quickly go through the game week 6 fixtures. We have a Friday kickoff for Southampton versus Bournemouth. So ensure that you have done your changes early enough on Friday. I think the deadline is around 8:30 or 6:30. I don't know, depending on your timelines. But we have a game on Friday. The early kickoff on Saturday will be Leicester City versus Tottenham Hotspurs. We want to see whether Son can continue his exploits. He scored, I think, 2 goals last week. He was the highest game week player. Burnley versus Norwich, that is Pukki versus Barnes. That will be interesting. I'll be looking out to see how many points you can get from that game, mainly because people not only have the strikers, but they even have some defenders from these 2 teams. Everton versus Sheffield. As I said, Everton is a team where most of us are running away from in terms of the players. Expect Dean to start losing fans, especially if he doesn't bring in something worthwhile against Sheffield United, against the promoted team. Man City versus Watford. I watched Watford versus Arsenal. I really enjoyed the game because after going 2-0 up and then the game ending 2-2, and in fact I think Arsenal should have lost that game. That was very interesting. But what I learned is that Watford can score goals against a leaky Man City, but then they can also concede even more under pressure. So the likes of Cleverley, I don't think the Kahuna's guys will be back, but that game will be interesting too. Newcastle versus Brighton. According to me, this game has a 0-0 scoreline written all over it. I think people would love that because so many people have Newcastle and Brighton defenders. On Sunday, we have Crystal Palace versus Wolves. Again, two teams who really don't have quite a direction. Wolves, after joining Europa League, are finding it hard for themselves, although they do not agree. I had one of the, I think, defenders saying that they have not been affected by the Europa Cup, but they have. West Ham versus Manchester United will be, I count it to be one of the games of the week. Basically because West Ham rarely lose against Manchester United. Again, they are at home, and then United are not doing that well away from home. So I wouldn't be surprised with points lost for Manchester United. For Arsenal versus Aston Villa, this can be a bloodbath. I've seen what Aubameyang is doing. I like his game. And if on another day, Barnes or Pukki were not doing so well, I would think that most of us would be having Aubameyang in their team. Then the blockbuster, the game of the week, Chelsea versus Liverpool. That will also be interesting, especially to see what Frank Lampard has to do with the team against a top team, and an attacking one for that matter. So that will be interesting to watch whether Mane or Salah will score well, or whether even Abraham can sneak in 1 or 2 goals. Also, I want to see what they do without Mount, who went off injured. I would want to see how they are going to position themselves, or who will hold that position. Do they give it to Barkley after the penalty miss that he had? So those will be the 10 games. To me, the games to bank on are 6 or 7. Southampton versus Bournemouth. I've put them both as a game to bank on, and also a game to keep away from, depending on how you look at it. Bournemouth have been scoring many goals, and I see that happening. But my problem is that Southampton have also been very good at the back. Again, so many people have, I think, the goalkeeper for Southampton, who has been doing very well, and also I think their defender is the top scoring defender in the FPL league, and that is a testament that there's something good going there. So this game, I see it can either have so many goals, over 4 goals, or it can also be a 0-0, not 0-0, or even a 1-off. But it's a game to bank on, in that if it opens up, you expect the likes of Wilson and the likes of Keane to do something good. If it's locked at 0-0, then you expect your players, who are the defenders that you have chosen, to give you so many points. Burnley versus Norwich. The reason why it's a banker is because here, none of the team, I don't think Burnley are any longer the team that used to defend every time, as we have seen the previous years. So we expect them to have a high score. Man City versus Watford. Again, as I said, Watford against Arsenal showed us that they can score and they can also concede in equal matter. Newcastle and Brighton, to me, this has a 0-0 written on it. So if you have defenders from either of these two teams, you can consider them in your first 11. Crystal Palace versus Wolves. Wolves, now that Europa League is part of their schedule, I think they'll be tired, and Crystal Palace can take them apart, or even it can be many goals involved from either side. West Ham versus Manchester United. I don't think you'd expect so much from Bissaka from this in terms of a clean sheet, but you never know. But then I also want to focus on Lanzini in this game and see whether he has a stay in my team. My banker is Arsenal versus Aston Villa, and I will not be surprised if I see a 4-0, especially because Arsenal are at home. they do very well at home, and I expect them to continue doing that. Aston Villa, I don't think they have any way of stopping them. I don't think the likes of McGinn can over. Maybe they can sneak in 1 or 2 goals, but then Arsenal, I expect someone like Aubameyang to get a double or even a hat-trick on that game. In terms of games to keep off, I think they are around 4. Again, I said Southampton and Bournemouth, if you have their defenders, from these 2 teams, then I think this is a game that you keep off. This is the time when you put these guys on the bench. For Leicester versus Spurs, Leicester City, Vardy is very good in scoring against big teams, together with Maddison. But then we can see Spurs, Kane is indifferent. Son is back, and he's showing that he's back. So this can why I'm keeping off is because you cannot tell. As far as I know, it can even end at 1-0 in favor of either of the teams. Everton versus Sheffield, again, I'll keep off that because Sheffield have shown themselves that they can hold their own against the Premier League sides. Everton are not doing that well in the last 2 games. So that's a game that I would keep off. Again, the other one that I would keep off or even focus in equal measure is the game of the week, that is Chelsea versus Liverpool. Chelsea are at home. Frank Lampard knows how these games are, and I'm very sure he has been preparing his team for it. Again, with the European exploits that have been for both teams, I'd want to know how their legs are. So I still don't think I would captain either Abraham or Mane or Salah from either of these teams. I don't know how well TAA will do, or Robinson, against the Chelsea attack. So that's another game that I'm keeping away from. So again, as we move on, I don't want to take much of your time. Ensure that you subscribe, ensure that you like the video, so that you can encourage me to do so even in the coming weeks. If you have some comments, just place them on the comment section, and then I'll get back to you. So once again, I thank you for taking your time. Doesn't mean that I'm so perfect in this. That's what I'm just sharing, because I want to connect with the community and to see how well we can correspond and grow in this game. So thank you. I'm wishing you guys a good game week 6. I hope by the next time we meet, we'll be having success stories whereby we'll be having the green arrows for a change. But all the same, whatever happens, take the banter in. Don't be emotional when your team loses, or when the player that you have not do the knee-jerk transfers. Stick to your philosophy, and at the end of it, if it is worth it, then you'll see the score going up. You'll see your game week ranks going up by the day. So thank you so much. As I said, my name is Sam, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to sharing with you how my game week 6 was. Green arrows, everyone. Thank you, and have a great weekend.